Today's episode is brought to you by Kraken Pro. You'll hear more about them later in today's episode. As always, investments in blockchain technology involve risk, terms, and conditions apply.
Oh man, Jonah, what's going on?
Avi,
We are live again. Happy New Year, everybody. I hope everyone had a good, this is like what do you call it? Like the liminal week in between Christmas and New Year's where nothing real actually happens. And that's been very true of the markets. Basically nothing has happened. And we're here to tell you today, dear listener, that is a very good thing.
Yes. It's a good week to make some predictions, isn't it? A good week to lay your nuts on the table.
It is. Talk about what we think is going to happen in 2026. I say that nothing's happened, but nothing's happened in like the Bitcoin world. A lot has happened outside of the Bitcoin world, including metals just absolutely ripping to all-time highs. It's like, we've discovered, metals have discovered the technology that Bitcoin had in 2017 called up only, and they're actively using it right now. And I've given a shout out to them before, but I'll do it again. 13D Research absolutely just crushed it this cycle. They made the argument, the very, I think, very good argument that just post-COVID, you were going to experience a higher baseline rate of inflation, and it was basically never going to come down after. Like we weren't really going to get back to that 2% target. Maybe it'd be 2.5, maybe it'd be 3. You might even get up to 4, but you were going to sit above. We were not going to be in a zero interest rate environment for a while, because I think inflation is sort of endemic now to our economy, just based on what's going on. And geopolitically, the world is fracturing, and so obviously that's been a huge driver of this metal run. I mean, I think you saw in China they were actually stopping. They were tamping down on exports of silver. Commodities like palladium, gold, silver, these things are now being battled over on a country basis, and that doesn't really seem to be going away anytime soon. And I kind of wanted to ask you, Jonah, the commodities trader, like what do you make of this rally? Do you think that this is a multi-year rally? Like, is 2026 going to be the year of continuation of metal, or is this just a end of year stupid short squeeze, move on?
I don't think 26 is going to be the year of the crazy metals rally, Avi. I think that was 2025. I think we're in the 8th inning, maybe the top of the 9th for this metals rally. In terms of time, I was bullish metals from, basically I started trading precious metals professionally in 2000, late 22, early 23. I was bullish then. And then when I sort of left the professional world and became a pajama trader, I didn't really do anything about my metals thesis. That would have been the time to get in when gold was trading like sub 2000. Now is not the time to get in. But I mean, like, put it this way, in the 8th or the 9th inning, the price can still double. I mean, this is a parabolic rally. We've seen crypto full send. When crypto's doing stuff like this, you never really know where it's going to top out. Nobody does by definition. But like, okay, so price wise, I have no idea where silver and gold top out. Possibly a lot higher, possibly like not that much higher. I really don't have an opinion. Time-wise, I think the rally is almost over. And the reason why is a couple of things. First of all, the people who are stockpiling gold right now, like the gold's a huge market. We'll get to silver in a second. Gold's a huge market. In order to move the needle on gold, you've got to be a sovereign, right? Retail can't
but
really.
Isn't that kind of what's happening? And that's why we're so bullish.
It's been happening.
Right. And
but like I'm saying, it won't continue. It won't
Okay.
continue because like sovereigns, like I don't know, I've traded with dozens of sovereigns in my career, and sovereigns don't FOMO like retail does. Like China, when the price goes up, they slow down their commodities buying. China's been the biggest buyer of gold. Why do they do that? Because they recognize institutionally, and that they're forcing the price higher into their own face. And if they stop buying, the price will go down so they can accumulate more. At least that's what they do in hydrocarbons. Maybe in gold, maybe the gold department over in China is just dumb.
I think hydrocarbons are very different. And I'm actually very bearish on oil for a lot of reasons that I wrote down, which I want to get into with you.
Yeah.
But I disagree with you, and I want to make a bet on it.
I don't want to bet on this one. This is, I don't have much conviction here.
Fair enough. But I think that our predictions will be interspersed through the episode. We're not going to walk you through all of them.
Actually, maybe I'll bet with you. What's the bet?
The bet is, I think that gold, a 50-50 basket of gold and silver, will outperform the S&P in 2026.
Silver. Yeah, I don't know. I think you're right.
Okay.
That could happen.
It could happen, but I put it at an 80% chance. I think it's very likely that it happens because I think gold moves. I don't know about silver.
So you're going to give me 5-1 odds if I bet against you?
I'm not going to give you 5-1 odds. You kind of, that was, I think, by the way, I think that those were actually very fair odds that you got on that trade. I think those are very reasonable. Mike Dudas is pitching aside. But
we'll get to that. We'll get to that later in the
episode. We'll get to that later in the episode. If you follow Jonah, you know that Jonah loves getting into Twitter fights. He just loves rage baiting people. And I have to come in and play good cop and moderate and tell everyone to log off for the week.
No, let me just finish my thoughts for a second on this gold silver thing.
Ahead.
I don't think I think the sovereign buyers of gold will recognize that if they slow down, other than them, there's not a lot of buying. So, or comparatively little buying. Retail can't move the needle in an asset as big as gold. It's 10 times bigger than Bitcoin. So I do think they'll probably slow down and wait for it to pull back so they can buy more. The thing about gold is that we've talked about it on previous episodes. I think gold is catching up to where it should be as an inflation hedge. It used to be a risk off trade, and then in Ukraine it became a sort of an inflation hedge. Very different instrument than it used to be. So I kind of think this gold rally is like it doing what it should have done during COVID. It's doing it post-COVID. Silver's a much smaller asset with a lower market cap, so I think retail could silver. Anyone's guess. Not
that much smaller, actually. And I want to dispel. There's a viral tweet that went around that said that the ratio of the silver market cap to the gold market cap throughout history has been somewhere between 10 to 15, and now it's like 60. And this thing got like 10, 15 million views. It was going super viral on Twitter. And it's just completely incorrect. The ratio today is 1 to 10. Like silver is a 10th the size of gold market cap. So even historically, it's kind of like it was behind before this rally. It was maybe, obviously silver doubled and gold stayed approximately the same. It was a 20th. So you can make an argument before that silver might outperform. My bet now is that gold outperforms. Gold miners continue to outperform. And I want to read something to you. From a research report that I was looking at. As of October 23rd, BRICS, when combined with members of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, now hold more gold than the United States. And that has not happened ever before. And that is happening very specifically, because the world is moving into a multipolar, geopolitically fractured version of itself. There is no longer one hegemony, and this is sort of an old tired point, but the thing that you have to remember as a crypto trader is that let's say you're used to 4-year cycles. Gold doesn't do 4-year cycles. Gold does 15-year cycles. These mega trends tend to have a certain amount of inertia to them, and they tend to last. And really, the gold rally has only lasted for 5-6 years at this point, really post-COVID. And so there's still a lot of lag here, in my personal opinion. And even if you're right that it's the 8th inning, the 8th and 9th innings are always the craziest part. That's when you get the crazy blow off tops. And so to me, the argument for allocating to gold is stronger than ever, to be completely honest. When you have inflation, when you have this multipolar fracturing of the world, when you have sovereigns continuing to buy, even as as recently as October, they're buying, and there doesn't seem to be a tremendous amount of abatement. Now, this has nothing to do with oil, because I think I'm very, very bearish on oil. The other thing that you have to remember is that for the first time ever, not for the first time ever, because this happened in the 80s, for the first time in a long time, your average retail investor is allocating to gold in a larger capacity because they're seeing it go up. And that makes that gold and silver, I think, can be very reflexive assets. These two things, or these 3 points for gold, combined with the fact that Bitcoin has gone nowhere in the last, call it, in the last 6 months, makes me very bullish on Bitcoin, and we'll get to that point. But I do want to make the case for metals, palladium also ripping, copper and copper miners. I mean, basically geopolitical assets. One of my biggest bags right now is something called REMX, which is a rare earth minerals, critical minerals. So I'm generally pretty bullish on just commodities in general, and have a decent amount of my portfolio now reallocated after I sold those silver miners, which I try not to think about.
There are a lot of things I try not to think about when it comes to 2025, Avi. Yeah, I don't have enough conviction to bet against you. I think you could be right. I just don't know. Like, I don't. My priors in gold have. I'm not a very good gold trader. I missed the shift in dynamics, a huge paradigm shift in gold from this is a risk off asset that people buy when they're scared in 2008 to this is an asset that like retail buys on momentum. This is an asset that people buy as an inflation hedge. It was just never like that. I also don't necessarily agree that inflation's out of control right now. I think for the first time,
it's not out of control.
For the first time in a while,
I never said out of control. I just said it's higher baseline than it was post GFC.
Yeah, I mean, okay, post GFC inflation was maybe 2% on target. Maybe now we're at 2.7, 2.8, something. So basically, I think with inflation more in control than it's been at any point this decade, I don't know if you're buying gold for that reason. I think you're buying gold because it's rallying. You're buying gold because you think that there's the world is becoming multipolar, and silver you buy because there's still a lot of retail. Silver feels like a Wall Street bets, Reddit mafia driving it up. It looks squeezy to me. I basically would be looking to buy these assets on a pullback. And I think that the sovereigns who are buying gold do check the price a little bit more than like the retail degens who buy, whatever, $ Pepe, right? Like sovereigns are a little bit smarter about buying on the highs than retail. So I'm a little, I wouldn't put my eggs in that basket.
Now, I agree with this guy. New type trader. Gold can sniff out wars. China being more aggressive with Taiwan, gold is also sniffing more rate cuts coming. I actually think he's right on all points, but I would frame it in a slightly different way. It's not gold that's sniffing it out. It's China knowing that they're going to be aggressive and stockpiling gold. It's like they are telling us what their plan is by accumulating all this gold. BRICS is telling us what the plan is by accumulating all this gold. And I think that this is the year, or the next 3 years, at least while Trump is in charge, it's called listening to the big boys. That's what I call it. Listen to what they do. And what they're doing, look at Nvidia's buying Intel, Trump bought Intel. China's buying gold and commodities. Listen to the big boys.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to.
And by the way, to answer the question, we became a commodities podcast when commodities started being a lot more fun to trade.
Yeah, I guess this data is public. Like the PBOC, the People's Bank of China, publishes their gold holdings, and
Mhm.
it's not like they're going bananas. They went banana. Like I got bullish in 2022 when they were going crazy, buying a lot of gold. I'm trying to pull up the chart here.
Mhm.
I guess this one has data up to May of 2025. So I saw some other charts. Let me just present my screen here. 1 second.
Mhm.
Share screen. All right. See that, Avi?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I can't read it because I'm not Chinese, but yes.
Yeah. Basically, the website, Shanghai Metal Market. This is PBOC gold reserves. As you can see, when I started to get really bullish was when they were doing this. This is when I was an institutional trader. The rate of increase was pretty like stark relative to this previous period where they just weren't doing anything. It's like, okay, Ukraine war has happened. We've made a decision in our executive communist committee that the United States can no longer be trusted with our money. So we're going to start diversifying. Oh shit, this is crazy. Then it kind of leveled off again. Gold didn't do much in 2024, which is still last year, for another couple of days. And then this year it's increasing gradually, but the trajectory isn't like that, I think maybe there's just less liquidity right now or something. Anyway, I'll stop sharing my screen here. I think the point I'm trying to make is that they don't seem like they're panic buying the way that, say, Europe panic bought LNG when the Ukraine war broke out, or China panic bought oil during some of the stock commodities at all costs shortage type moments. So I don't know. With the big caveat that I'm not the world's best gold trader, I think it just would feel strange to buy this on momentum here. I think there are better assets like Bitcoin.
I think you can buy it on a pullback. I mean,
yeah,
like, for example,
that you can do.
As like Palladium. I think that, like I said, they've adopted this beautiful technology now of go up. So I'm pretty bullish on the idea of them continuing to go up just because of everything that we've already discussed. But that brings me to Bitcoin. I wrote this post about what a bottom looks like, and we're kind of filling it out. What I said at the beginning of December was, okay, basically we have a very short period of time to go up in December. Otherwise, we're going to get a lot of tax selling and Bitcoin's not going to perform particularly well. And that, I think, sort of played out. Bitcoin has gone basically nowhere but down, mostly sideways, but down over the last month. And I think a lot of that is because people want to get out. But when do you bottom? You don't bottom when big buys come in. You bottom when sellers decide that the price that they're selling at no longer makes a ton of sense to sell. So my viewpoint on this is that we have sort of reached that point. I thought maybe we could get a capitulatory event to 74 to 80. We touched 80, but we haven't really been able to get back there, because even in a low liquidity, this has been a low liquidity environment post October 10th, and even more low liquidity because it's the holidays. In a low liquidity environment with not a ton of buying and tax selling, we haven't been able to hold below 85. And to me, what that suggests is that sellers have run out of ammo, and that in the new year, if new buyers come in, which I think they will, and the tax selling abates, and the end of year stuff, liquidity comes back, people are back on the desks, and gold has been ripping, and take out NASDAQ. If NASDAQ doesn't collapse in on itself, I think we see 100K Bitcoin by the end of January. And I think it happens fast, because I think Bitcoin has been neglected for all of these structural reasons. And now we've run out of, nobody wants to sell at this price right now. Where are people going to sell is always the, like, how do you fault, like, how do you think about this in the negative sense? Like, how could you be wrong? Is if Bitcoin breaks lower, if it does break past 85 and stays there for a bit, then maybe people panic and sell out. But in my opinion, that's still like, that would be the last bit of selling that would occur. Either way, I'm very bullish going into, I'm ready to take a stab. I tweeted I lifted a bunch of 100K January 30th calls because I think that we can actually squeeze up.
What'd you pay for those per contract? $2,000, $5,000, something?
Yeah, so I bought it on iBit, and I bought $55 calls, and I paid 82 cents per call. So if we get back up, if we like go up to 20%, where I think we go, if iBit can get to 60, I'm looking at a 5x effectively, a little bit more, 5-6x.
Okay.
And I think that
$55 calls.
Correct.
Okay, so that's the equivalent of buying $100,000 Bitcoin calls for $1,500.
A little bit less, yeah. But yeah.
Okay, I just did the math. Yeah, it's basically like a $1,500 Bitcoin option.
It's like technically a 97K, but 100K sounded better to tweet. So
yeah,
sue me.
Never let the truth get in the way of a good story. No,
yeah,
I agree.
That's what I say. Never let the truth get in the way of a good tweet.
Okay, so you're bullish, and you're not just bullish like over the course of the year. You're bullish immediate term. You think we get a rip roar in January? I think so too.
I also think that vol has come so low that you're seeing some good deals out there actually.
Yep.
Right. Yeah. So people don't like the idea of trading options. And why don't people like the idea of trading options? Because they don't understand what options really are. Options are a way to either, if you're not sophisticated, and we can get into what they are for sophisticated market participants, they're ways to hedge exposure, or they're ways to bet on something happening very quickly. Like, I want to get leverage on this outcome, and I think my edge is that this price action will happen in a short period of time. Or what you're expressing is you want to buy a crazy tail and you want to get paid for it, right? Like you have super high conviction that Bitcoin's going to $250,000, and excuse me, and you don't want to outlay a tremendous amount of capital because you think it might take a year to get there, and so you don't want to tie up all your capital immediately, and so you're using it for capital efficiency. You're saying, I want to express this bet, and I want to do it in a capital efficient manner, and so I'm going to buy a year out $250,000 call option on Bitcoin. Option, you should really not be selling options ever unless you really know what you're doing. Like, you really should never do that. That's how you just end up bankrupt and in a bad spot. But yeah, but I don't love the argument that you, the retail investor, the average person, should never touch an option. I think that's silly. If you have a thesis that I think Bitcoin is going to rip in the next 15 days, and you want to protect your downside, an option based on the volatility, right? And what you have to do to calculate whether you're making a good trade is go to Deribit, look at the vol of the option that you're buying. Let's say it's 50 vol. Divide that by the square root of 365, so that's about 20, and you're looking at a 2.5% move a day. Do you think that Bitcoin's going to do more than a 2.5% move a day? That's really how you should think about it. But outside of those things, I'm not really, I don't really believe. I don't think we should be trading options, but I don't think that should discourage you from trading them in the right scenarios. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes total sense. Options are great.
Vol right now is 40.
That's it? I was just looking it up. BTC
2%, a 2% move a day? Are you kidding me?
39%.
Bye.
Yeah, I think it's going to get crazy in January. January is when people re-engage and reallocate, and I think, unless you believe that the only reason why anybody buys Bitcoin is because it's going up, or they sell it because it's going down. Like, I think Bitcoin has other stories now. So, unless you think that the only feature of this market is momentum, which I don't, then I think a lot of participants will come back to the desk in January and say, all right, you know what? Like, the The DATs have blown up. Bitcoin's underperformed gold and other inflation debasement hedges massively. Look at this. It's sort of like festering around 88K, almost pre-Trump levels. Like let's YOLO a little bit. I think a lot of people are going to sit down and buy Bitcoin in January, and I think we'll get some big moves. I like your trade, Avi. Even if we don't like blast through 100K by January 30th, I still think, or January 31st, you'll probably hit a 2 or a 3 bagger on those options if you sell them back out when Bitcoin starts pumping again, which it probably will. I don't see it selling off in January. Everything rips in January.
January should be a good month for us. I think that you guys are probably gonna have a good time as long as you're not too sidelined. It feels good being bullish when price is down instead of being bullish when price is up. This is always, I think I lost sight of what you're supposed to do. You get bullish. You get bullish when everyone is scared.
Buy low, sell high. Yeah, I posted the crypto fear and greed index. I will share my screen here, Avi. It's pretty striking. I read this thing called the Daily Shot. I recommend everybody subscribe to it. It's fantastic. Let's see. They posted a chart of the crypto fear and greed index over time. Let me share my screen. Check this out. Pretty cool. You can see it evolve throughout the year. It went as high as like 82 in February when Trump coin got launched. And it went as low as like 10. This is volatile. I don't know. I think it's just a sentiment indicator, but we're still basically at the buy with both hands level. Sad I don't have a price chart overlaid on top of this, but anytime it's down here, it's usually a great buy. So yeah, be fearful when others are greedy and be greedy when others are fearful, to quote our boy Warren Buffett. Definitely does seem like the time, doesn't it? I'm bullish here too.
There are a couple other things that I think are making me more constructive, I guess is the right word, on more constructive on the market. Number one, we're getting runners again on chain. I don't know if you saw White Whale.
I didn't.
These. How have you not seen White Whale? These memes are hilarious.
I've been kind of tuned out for the last week, other than just like showing up on Christmas to rage bait some people in the CryptoPunks community. I've been kind of like I'm taking the end of year off mentally. I've been pretty zoned out.
Oh, dude, you gotta look up White Whale on Twitter. It's fucking hilarious. Or go to the 1000X terminal, go sign up for that, and ask it about White Whale. That would be.
Let me do that now.
That would be a good use of your time. But look up the White Whale V2. Dude's freaking hilarious. It's this meme of this. Basically, he was like this huge hyperliquid trader, right? And he lost a ton of money on hyperliquid, but he also made a ton of money at some point. And
was this James Wynn?
No, this is different. And now he's posting all of these fucking hilarious memes about himself. Basically, he has this image of a whale in what looks like a Jedi Knight costume, and he's like also like has swords and is like battling people in Halo, and he's honestly pretty fucking hilarious. I'm not gonna lie. And he launched this coin, this sort of meme coin, and it ran up from $100,000 market cap to a $70 million market cap, because people in crypto, like the insiders, they do have some money still to throw around, and this is a very like deep cut meme coin. Like I don't think this is trending on TikTok or anything like that. This is like a very CT type thing, and it seems like those people have managed to hold on to some of their money. So dude, it ran up in the last 10 days, like absurdity, 4,000%. I mean, there's not a ton of liquidity, but what it tells you is that the gamblers, Jonah, are still here. And all it's going to take, I think, this is obviously a microcosm. It's not like a ton of money, but I think it belies an important point. The important point being, the gamblers are still here.
We love the gamblers, Avi. We love them. I love gambling. I love betting on random stuff. I mean, okay, so Am I the kind of person who's going to go and bet on a meme coin in 2026? Probably not. I think the last time I took a major stab at one was.
Don't forget Bowden. You can't just
Bowden was
forget
awesome.
about Bowden.
But like that was an era when meme coins ran for at least a few weeks. Now they run for hours and then they immolate. It's basically gone from being like a strategic, fun, interesting game like Settlers of Catan or Risk to like.
I'm sorry. Did you say Settlers of Catan?
Yeah. You don't like that game?
Settlers of Catan. It's Settlers of Catan.
Okay. Settlers of Catan. Basically, it went from being Settlers of Catan to like, what's a quick hit? Like basically buying amphetamines from a teenager in the men's bathroom at a nightclub, kind of like 10 minutes up and down. That's basically.
Do that? Is that
no, but I was young once too, Avi, and basically that's kind of how the meme coin thing has evolved from like this fun, strategic, interesting, what's gonna have legs to like, all right, I'm gonna feel great for 5 minutes and then have a headache for 3 hours, kind of like up and down cycle. And I don't know, it's not as fun, it's not as cool. That's sort of how I view the meme coin space. So I guess here's a 2026 prediction laced into the episode. The meme coin space does not come back in 2026. There's no resurgence of meme coins. I do think that meme coins will have their moment in the sun. I do think that lottery will come back, but it's not going to be for years. And I also think that 2026, here's another prediction. I think the altcoin bear market continues. And I think that people who get out of their 4-year cycle alt season mindset and just buckle up and short these things, the bad ones, obviously there'll be a few good ones, but like the bad ones, the previous cycle vaporware beached whales, they will make a lot of money. In fact, that is my contrarian trade prediction for 2026 is that shorting crypto will work for a lot of these bulge bracket alts. Everybody doesn't like. Everybody says shorting is a terrible idea, requires a lot of active management. I'm willing to bet that this year it won't. I'm willing to bet that this year you just flip your chart upside down on TradingView, pretend it's going up, and you sell perps with positive funding on high FTV, low float tokens. There will be no squeezes. Every insider, every VC wants to get out. These tokens are fucking worthless and have no uptake. I don't know.
So here's a trade. You know what? We should mark this today. Create a basket, and let's call it a basket of just stupid shitcoins. Okay. You're gonna short Polkadot. You're gonna short WIF. You're gonna short Pepe. You're gonna short all these things after Bitcoin has a little bit of a rally. So let's say Bitcoin gets up to 100, 110, wherever those meme coins are, because they do tend to bounce. Short WorldCoin, short that basket, and then
versus dollars. I'm talking about shorting them versus Bitcoin.
No, hold on. I'm getting there.
Yeah.
Buy Monero, Zcash, and Bitcoin, and let's come check in at the end of 2026 and see how that trade is done. Because I think that could be a kingmaker trade. You're gonna have to rebalance it a bit. If the markets go down a ton, let's say markets crash 30%, you're probably up on that trade. If you did it 1-to-1, maybe you cover the shorts. But I do think that that's a very good trade because I was reading there are all these 2025 recaps that have come out. I want you to guess how much money was stolen in crypto hacks throughout 2025.
I'm going to guess 350 million.
2.7 billion.
Whoa. How'd that happen? I didn't even. What was the big Bybit?
People are getting scammed left and right. There was no big single hack. I think that's the thing that not a lot of people talk about. is that there's a tremendous use case of crypto. And that use case is criminals can steal it from you easily. And then they have to wash it. They have to put it into Monero, or they have to put it into Zcash, and then they have to hide it. And I'm not going to get into everywhere that they hide it because it's kind of scary. And I don't want people to come after me. But it's, let's just put it like this. There's a reason why on a day last year, Monero went up 25%. And it wasn't because a bunch of people decided Monero was a lot better that day, right? It's because somebody needed to get their money out. And all of this is speculation. This is, let me just be clear, this is speculation. Like, I don't know any of these people, but it is kind of a key point that there's a use case here. And not only is there a use case for these privacy coins, because there's been a use case for these privacy coins for years. So why now? Is because now they have the narrative. Now they have a use case and the narrative. And they have no cash flows, which is perfect for huge upside. That's the way that I view it, is that it is like the perfect 2026 is the perfect coalescing point for privacy coins. Take into account the California wealth tax as well. Mamdani coming in to New York. People are going to be pressed to start hiding their assets, and there will be some people that do illegal things. You shouldn't. Don't do that. It's bad. Don't even think about it. But there will be people that will be tempted to do it. And that's why I'm bullish. So, like, instead of doing it myself, because that would be bad and illegal, and I will never do that, I die serious, I could profit off of it.
I like that. I like that thesis a lot, Avi. I think that's okay. So basically, we like privacy coins. We don't like shit coins. And it's like we're giving each other permission to short the shit coins. It's been a little hard to do in previous cycles, but because they continue to pump for no reason. But I think now is actually like the bell has tolled for the shit coins.
And I think the bell has tolled for a very specific reason. I think the bell has tolled because nobody wants to buy old shit.
Yes.
Nobody cares about Dog with Hat when White Whale is out, and White Whale is way funnier now to these certain set of people.
Everybody's chasing the new thing. You know what
so
I think
I do think as people make money, there will be a lot to be made in monitoring new coins. Like that game, I don't think will ever really go away. The whole new coin flipping lottery system,
sniper trading is going to be
not going
valuable.
Away.
Yeah. You need a bot though. You can't do that unless you're like in the right Discord at the right time, awake for something new. Like you're not going to click trade this profitably and consistently. You need a bot. But you know, to your point about old stuff, like just people not liking old things, that I got myself into trouble on NFT Twitter because I'm kind of calling for NFTs to be an old thing. And I think it's worth discussing because, you know, the market is probably still valued in the tens or maybe even hundreds of billions. But
you got kind of lit up, you know, Jonah, I love that you do this because you just have no fear of being criticized. Something that everyone could aspire to, you know?
Well, yeah, I don't care what people think, which is why I'm here podcasting with you and having fun in my life instead of sitting behind a desk worrying about other people's opinions. But like, I think in general, first of all, let me start with I asked, it's funny, like the most fun thing to do is just roast people on NFT Twitter because they're the least inspiring group of crypto people. They really are. They deserve to be made fun of. Do you not feel a little bad for them? So
I mean,
on this, I asked my rabbi, I'm like, hey, you know, as Jews, we're not supposed to talk smack about other people behind their backs, and then doing it at scale on Twitter and getting like millions of views out of it. So I was like, hey, is this bad? And the rabbi's response was like, very bad. So I would like to basically I deleted all the tweets. I didn't realize that calling somebody a LARP was like
you talked to your rabbi about.
I did.
That is fucking. I love you. I love you so much.
I love
That's
you
amazing.
too, man. I mean, basically,
and you know, how do you say it? He goes, Jonah, what are you doing?
What are you? He's like, you know, it's
Jonah,
not that great. He kind of hedged it, but he was like, you know, You're going to the equivalent of Jew hell for this. And so basically, I
It's
deleted all.
It's a good thing we don't have any hell.
We don't have hell, but we have other forms of retribution for doing wrongs at scale on the internet. And basically,
you end up stubbing your toe, you know.
So
every time you walk outside. Go ahead.
In the spirit of making amends, I didn't realize that calling somebody a LARP was like the crypto Twitter equivalent of calling somebody the N-word in real life. Like, you just can't do it, right? If you're me. So to D's, whoever you are, and to 6529, whoever you may be, I am sorry. I regret calling you guys names. I should not. I think in general, when you're debating people on Twitter, it should not devolve into insults and name calling. So I deleted those tweets. I regret them. I regret insulting these people. What I will say is I vehemently disagree with them. I do not think that NFTs are taking over the world. I think that just as insane as it was to spend $20,000 on a JPEG in 2019, it will once again become insane to spend $20,000 on a JPEG. There will always be this community of like bizarrely non-doxed individuals on NFT Twitter who disagree with me about that. And I may be wrong about my time frame. I said that the CryptoPunks floor would go below 8 ETH in 2026. It may take a little longer. May take 27 or 28 for that to happen. But like, nobody wants this stuff anymore. It's not a trend. It's not like Bitcoin that just keeps proliferating into modern society. This was a fad. NFTs were a fad, and there will always be a niche that loves their fads. There will always be people who collect jukebox machines and stick them in their man caves or basements or whatever. But like, that's what NFTs are. They are collectibles, and they will never be worth what they were worth in 2021. And even if the alien punks and the zombie punks and the gorilla punk or monkey punks end up in museums and in private collectors seek them out, I'd say somewhere between 1/3 and 2/3 of this 10,000 unit collection is floors, just ugly crap that no one will ever buy. And so I think the floor, like the Bored Apes floor, is 4 ETH right now. Why should the CryptoPunks floor go there? Why not? Eventually, a lot of these things, just there's no reason for somebody to lock up capital holding one of them. You can't even hang it in your wall and talk about it. And yes, younger generations are more online, but yet most of the unlike a Birkin bag where the audience, the TAM is like 4 billion women. For an NFT, the addressable audience is this like really tiny little sliver niche of like online male degens who happen to be active in crypto between 2017 and 2022, right? And they're still, it's just like a weird zeitgeisty thing. It's not like an actual persistent, it's like, it's not going to matter anymore,
I think just as you were talking, I had a few thoughts that were running through my head. And one of them being, it's kind of interesting what happened in 2021, and it tells you how difficult it is to forecast the future. Like it's actually pretty difficult, and that's why you get paid a lot of money to do it. In 2021, it felt so obvious to everybody that the world had changed irreversibly, and that everyone was going to spend more time online, and that digital items were going to become just as valuable as physical items because the digital world had become the real world. And that's why Zuck changed the name of his company to Meta. And that's why everyone was talking about the Oculus, and everybody was trying to get into the metaverse because people were so 100% convinced that this was the way of the future, that COVID had created an irreversible trend. At the same time as this was going on, by the way, people were talking about how New York was going to die, how people were going to, like, cities were going to die, everyone was going to move to Miami, and obviously
Decentraland, Avi. Everybody was going to buy $mana and move to Decentraland. That's down 99.9%, by the way.
And I think it is, and I think it's a moment to be a little bit humble because I sort of believed it too, right? I was on Clubhouse. I was I was doing these things. It's like yeah, it kind of makes sense. And then something weird happens, and there's an immense backlash pretty quickly. Like people under the age of 25, I mean, yes, they live a tremendous amount of time online, but I mean, basically, they've actually withdrawn from NFTs. They've withdrawn from the metaverse. They don't like these ideas. You know, they're online is texting their friends and being on social media, and that's kind of it, right? It's not. I'm gonna, you know, people did start going outside again. Tourism is up massively. People are visiting sites, right? People are going abroad. Restaurant. You know, people thought that restaurants would collapse post-COVID. Everyone was just going to start ordering in. You can't get a seat anywhere in New York, right? And so there are all these trends that. One thing that I've been chewing on is, have we, are we just in an accelerationist period of time where the pendulum, instead of taking a generation to swing, takes 5 years to swing, right? Like, are we now? It almost feels like now we're going through 5-year periods of trends. You know, you have a 5-year period trend of, you know, or maybe a 7-year period of trend of woke. Maybe we'll have like a 3-year trend of anti-woke, and then we'll go back. You know, it's like, it's kind of just swinging back and forth. So maybe at some point in the future, we'll get a swing back to NFTs. But I view it kind of the same way for most of them that I view meme coins, which is probably new artists.
Yeah.
And the reality is the art contained within NFTs is not particularly good. It's, you know, it's not like, you know, it's not something that I look at and I see meaning in. Actually, other than I like ringers and I like fidenzas. I
like ringers and fidenzas too. I think the idea of
from an aesthetic standpoint, I think that they are quite interesting. Yes.
I think basically what I think is a physical print of a fidenza. Like if you own the NFT, you can basically you can mint a physical. Can
we? Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
I'm almost done with this NFT thing. You can mint a physical, and then Tyler Hobbs will sign a version of that, basically a printout of that, sized however you want. You pay him a few $100 and he sends it to you. And that can only be done once per NFT. So he's not going to do that every time the NFT changes hands. So I think physical fidenzas, I'm interested in buying a physical fidenza. I don't care about the NFT. I don't want the NFT. I just want I want to hang a signed physical on my wall. And I think the physicals trade well below the NFT level, because, you know, you could just buy the NFT, mint the physical, and then sell the NFT for a similar price, because most, you know, fidenza buyers don't seem to care about the physical. But I think that's an ARB. I think the physical will matter. But more importantly, when I made this bet on CryptoPunks, I think there's something that people out there on the internet don't understand, which is the most likely outcome is that nothing happens, right? So if I were to say, when Dees was like, hey, you just posted that CryptoPunks are going down 70%, you want to bet on it? And I said, sure, what are your odds? And he goes 1 to 1. The reason why that's ridiculous is twofold. The first is, if it was just, I'm betting that CryptoPunks, the floor goes down, you're betting that it goes up from where it is now, that would justify 1 to 1 odds. But 70% is deeply out of the money. That's like, you know, I guess 19 ETH below the current price. So that does not justify even odds. And a lot of people, including some really prominent ones like Mike Dudas, people with, you know, hundreds of thousands of followers out there, were saying something that I just didn't understand, which is, Jonah, you're a tool, you're a loser. How could you be so confident about something and not bet on it 1 to 1 with D's? I went out and asked for 5 to 1 odds, and I got filled instantly. Like half the internet wanted to bet against me. And then I did a follow-on small clip with Jez at 6 to 1. If the market gives you 5 or 6 to 1, you would be, you know, just thinking from a cold, rational perspective, economically irrational to take 1 to 1 odds, no matter how convicted you are. It would be like me saying, I think Bitcoin's going to 1 million, and you, Avi, say, no, it's not. And then you say, you want to bet on it, Jonah? And I respond, hey, Avi, yeah, I do. And then you offer me a Bitcoin for $500,000. Why would I buy it from you for $500,000 and get a 2-bagger if I'm right, if I could buy it on screen at $88,000? Like that's basically what Dees offered me.
Because people these days require you to be a martyr for your views. That's really what it is at the end of the day, is that if you say anything that they disagree with, you have to hold that position to the maximum amount of conviction. Otherwise, fuck you.
Yeah.
Which I think is it's a very silly way of looking at the world, and it's very tribalistic. And as traders, we think of everything in probabilities. So I'll leave you with this because I know you got to run.
I've got an extra 10 minutes. Actually, if you want to keep talking,
Okay.
but I bought myself 10 minutes.
I got nothing to do today.
Okay.
It's a Tuesday.
No, let's keep talking.
But what was I going to say? I totally lost my train of thought.
People expect you to be a martyr for your
ideas.
ideas.
I was going to say fucking Mike Dudas, what a piece of shit. No.
No,
he's actually a good guy.
But how could he suggest that?
I think that I think you phrased it very aggressively. Right? Like I think that the way that you said it as if you had 99% confidence in this thing happening, meaning that you would take whatever fucking, like you phrased it very high conviction. But the reality is, if I were to ask you what the actual probability you think of punks going to 8 ETH is, I assume that you wouldn't say 99%.
Here's the key distinction. I said the punks floor should trade down 70%. Mm-hmm. I have very high conviction in that. 9 out of 10.
Okay.
Now,
really? Okay.
Yeah. They came back with a bet that was time boxed to Christmas 2026. I do not have 9 out of 10 conviction that the punks floor will hit 8 ETH in the next 12 months. It may take, 24, 36 months or longer. But will it get there? 9 out of 10 conviction, yes. So when they came back and they said, all right, like even if they had said just open-ended 20-year bet, I still would have taken market odds. You trade the market. Maybe it's like 2-to-1 odds for open-ended. But for 12 months, no matter how convicted I am, I'm still going to trade what I can get. And if I traded with D's at 1-to-1, I would be kicking myself knowing what I know now, which is that I can get 6-to-1. So I basically wagered a Ford to win a Ferrari on this bet. And it would stink to wager a Ford to win a Ford if you don't have to do that. Like always, if you're a trader, no matter how convicted you are in something, always maximize your payout. Always express your trade with the optimal outcome for you. So like that's the lesson here. This I know for sure. If you just emotionally start trading at off-market prices with people, you will lose all your money. You absolutely must not pay a guy named D's a 4-to-1 commission on a 5-to-1 odds to get yourself into a 1-to-1 bet, because that commission is guaranteed loss. Transaction fees and commissions are certain losses. You cannot win those back.
I think people do it for clout. I genuinely think that's it. Like if I were to answer the question, because I see it happen sometimes on Twitter where they feel like they can't back down and they just say it for clout.
I don't need clout.
I mean, but you don't. But
I
you
want
don't need
money.
it. Like look, at the end of the day, I think this is probably goodest place to end it. We're here because we're trying to make money and we're trying to help you think about how to make money.
Yeah.
Not financial advice, but think about the right way to approach things. I really love talking to you, Jonah. I hope you have the best New Year ever, and I hope everyone listening has the best New Year ever.
Happy New Year to our community. We got big things in store for you in 2026. We are thrilled to be able to have you guys listening to us. Really appreciate you, Avi. Love these conversations every week.
These are awesome. And seriously, this year, not to get all sappy and lame, but I'm a sappy and lame guy, so I'll just say it. But this year has been really awesome because we've grown the channel a ton. The listeners, I think you guys have engaged with us a ton. I think we've had a lot of fun answering your questions. I've had so much fun talking to Jonah, and I'm just really excited to have you guys along for the ride for the next year. Hopefully we grow even more. Hopefully I get to know more of you on a more personal level, which has been great, over the last year. And I'm super excited to see where this channel goes in 2026. So let's take it to new heights.
Let's do it, guys. And hopefully we see you all at DAS NYC in March. That'd be a great place to
Yes.
hang out, drink some beers.
We'll host a little get together for everybody.
For sure. All right. Until then, see you next year, Avi. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Take care, everybody.
Nothing said on the 1000X podcast is a recommendation to buy or sell any investments or products. This podcast is for informational purposes only, and the views expressed by anyone on the show are solely their opinions, not financial advice or necessarily the views of Blockworks. Our hosts, guests, and the Blockworks team may hold positions in the company's funds or projects discussed.